sneaky Hembo time. And Graziano, I'm warning you right now, you have no chance.
I have a good guess.
Antonio Brown is one of 2 players in NFL history with 6 career 100-catch seasons. Who is the other?
So it's got to be somebody pretty recent, right? I mean, this is the passing explosion in the league. My first thought, and this is not my answer, was one of those New England guys like Welker or Edelman, but I don't think either one of them got to 6. So I'm going to guess Brandon Marshall.
Oh, my God.
Whoa!
Oh, my God. Oh, my
Never
God.
again. That's it. I retire from this.
That is the most impressive trivia performance we've had on the show since we launched.
Good job. Take a bow.
I give it to you.
You can't do anything better from here.
He was a lot better than he'll be remembered, I think.
All right, fair enough. All right, speaking of Antonio Brown, here's the reason why he is part of the conversation as this saga continues to drag on. After it finally appeared he had found a helmet that would fit NFL regulations. That helmet also failed NFL testing, and so Antonio Brown left training camp again with the Raiders, which clearly seems to have tested the patience of their general manager, Mike Mayock.
So here's the bottom line. He's upset about the helmet issue. We have supported that. We appreciate that. Okay, but at this point, we've pretty much exhausted all avenues of relief. So from our perspective, it's time for him to be all in or all out. Okay, so we're hoping he's back soon. We got 89 guys busting their tails. We are really excited about where this franchise is going, and we hope AB is going to be a big part of it starting week 1 against Denver. End of story. No question.
Again, he did not take any questions. That was not a scheduled news conference. He just came over to the reporters and volunteered all of that. And you take a look at what has been an eventful training camp, to say the very least, for Antonio Brown when he has the frostbite on the feet caused by the cryotherapy machine, then the arbitrator ruling against him. And now, again, he has left camp over anger from being denied the use of his helmet. And we are very pleased to have Antonio Brown's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, live with us here on Get Up this morning. Drew, thank you for doing this. And I will ask you as directly as I can, specifically, why is Antonio Brown not in camp with the Raiders right now?
Well, first of all, Mike, I do think he's going to be back soon. And we're looking into any and all options right now to resolve the helmet issue. Antonio is very genuine. He wants to be there. He wants to be a part of the team. He wants to practice, but he'd also like to do it with the helmet that he's worn his entire life. He wore this helmet in Pee Wee football, high school football, college at Central Michigan, and he also wore this helmet his 9-year career. People keep saying to me there are 2,000 players that are wearing approved helmets, but there are very few, if any, that have worn the same helmet their entire 9-year career. He's a wide receiver. He gets hit across the middle. People are trying to take his head off. He's a big target. You talked about how many catches he's had over the last 6 years, for example. This is his life. He's risking everything. He's got a family. He's had a concussion before. This helmet has kept him safe. He's had brutal hits, and we're just trying to find a way to work it out. We've worked very closely with the Raiders. We've worked very closely with the NFL, but I hope people can appreciate this is not a simple issue. The helmet is the most important piece of equipment, and he's had the same one every single snap he's played in his football career. This is a major issue for him.
Understood. Can I get as specific as I can with you here? Because I had been under the impression that his concerns with the helmet had more to do with vision than safety. Are you telling me that his concerns with the helmet are safety related?
Absolutely. It is safety related. It's a comfortability that he has when he runs routes, when he is avoiding hits, when he is trying to protect himself. This is the only thing that he knows. And so we are trying desperately to work this out with the Raiders. He's all in. I mean, Mike Mayock asked if he's all in or all out. He's all in with the Raiders. We just want to make sure that we do everything we can so that he can continue his career with a helmet that's worked for him. Hey, we admire the fact that the NFL and the NFLPA are trying to make changes for player safety, but this has worked for Antonio, and he feels very safe in this helmet, and we want to make sure we do everything we can to keep him safe.
Understood. So what does everything he can mean? What are you willing to do? Because clearly the NFL said the helmet that he wanted to wear was not acceptable. So where does it go from here?
We still have 2 additional helmets that are getting tested as we speak. So we're holding out some hope that will work out. If not, we'll look at every and all option. Perhaps there's another helmet that will work that's very similar. Maybe we can work something out that will be custom made for him. This is a new experience for everybody. This is a new rule. I have never dealt with this issue. The Raiders have never. I don't think any team has. We're in new territory. So we're trying to get this worked out in plenty of time for the start of the season. But Drew, I want to circle everybody down. And Antonio hasn't left camp. He wasn't there yesterday. He's still there in Napa Valley, and hopefully he'll be there in the very near future. I think he will.
All right, quickly, because Mike Mayock certainly did not seem to respond that way. What was your reaction and Antonio's reaction to Mike Mayock drawing a line in the sand, which candidly it felt like he did yesterday?
I've talked to Mike multiple times yesterday. We are on the same page. We are working together. We understand the club's frustration. We understand that they want Antonio back. We get all of that. And everyone, please understand that he wants to be there. It is difficult for him to practice, take hits, whatever, with a piece of equipment that he's never used before. And so that's why we're trying to iron this out so everything can go smoothly the rest of the season. We're looking for a permanent solution.
Understood. Let me go back quickly to something you also said a moment ago. This is a new rule. It isn't actually that new. This has been around for a year. Why did it take to this point for it to begin to get figured out, it would appear?
Actually, Mike, we've been working on it for 6 months. We started working on this with the Raiders, the NFL, the NFLPA, all the way back in March. We've been talking to helmet companies, trying to get things straightened out, trying to find a helmet that would work, trying to get his helmet approved, trying on different helmets. Antonio's worn probably 15 different helmets to find something similar to what he currently has. We've been unable to do that, but we're going to continue to work. I called Mike late last night and said, hey, let's get every available helmet that's approved and let's try every one of them out. Let's find a solution. We are working with the team to get this done. I don't expect this to be a long-term issue. I'm working with Antonio. I'm working with the team. I'm working with the league, the union, everybody you can think of to get this hammered out.
Can I ask you quickly also, Drew, about his feet? We were aware of the issue that he had with the feet, with the cryotherapy problem that he had. Where is he right now with his feet? Is he prepared to play right now relative to his feet?
I'm not sure. I think that is still an issue, but we're close. I think he's very close. I don't expect it to be a long-term issue. I think he'll be healthy in the foreseeable future.
Okay, and then a final question, and I appreciate you doing this. If there is no resolution that he is satisfied with relative to the helmet, and he is in a position where he has to wear a helmet that perhaps he is not comfortable with, what happens then?
Well, I think, in my opinion, I'm confident we're going to find a solution out. Whether it's a different helmet, whether it's the same helmet, we're going to find a solution here, Mike. There's really no if. Ultimately, it's going to be Antonio's decision, but I know that he wants to play football. He wants to be a part of the Raiders. We're just trying to work it out so that he's got the right equipment and he can feel safe.
I get it. So if we could just sort of wrap it up with this. The Raiders open their season 3 weeks from tonight against Denver on ESPN's Monday Night Football. Are you prepared to guarantee he will be on the field that night? Is there any question that he will be on the field that night?
I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be. I believe we're going to get this worked out in time for him to be there. I don't make guarantees, Mike.
I understand. We've been having these conversations a long time.
I'm not Joe Namath. Give Joe Namath the call.
I got you. Thank you very much, Drew. I appreciate the time. Thank you for this, and we will check in again if this thing takes another turn. Thank you very much for taking the moment for us here. Drew Rosenhaus, again, the agent for Antonio Brown. Let me bring it out to the table here. Dan Graziano, I was sort of looking over at you at one point and confirming that we had gotten sort of everything that we needed there. What did you take away from that conversation?
Well, I think the phrase he repeated more than once, I don't expect this to be a long-term issue. He's trying to make sure that people know that, that A, they're optimistic about finding a solution. And obviously, Antonio and Drew are not in a position where they want to look like they're the ones, causing the problems.
Right.
So I think that's it's optimism, but it's and there's some messaging to it, which is fine. That's part of the job. But I think it's like we talked about with Ezekiel Elliott. The most likely outcome here is that he finds a helmet that he can wear and he plays football. I mean, you're talking about like $30 million in guaranteed money that he'd be leaving on the table if he were to walk away. So I don't think that's a legitimate fear, and I think that Drew was communicating that.
Oh, I'm being told right now, actually, that Marcus is back with us here. Do I have Marcus Spears? Marcus, oh, there he is. All right, Swagoo, I have you back here. Did you hear that? What was your takeaway from that conversation?
Drew is doing a great job at his job, speaking for Antonio Brown. But, gee, you know me. I can't take the beat around the bush type of situation. Look, man. We're going to exhaust every opportunity. We've been working on this for 6 months, and you ain't found a helmet yet? I mean, if I'm sitting at home on my sofa and I'm watching Get Up right now, and I watch Drew Rosenhaus say that about Antonio Brown, and this process has been going on this long, and you haven't found a helmet yet, then throw out, well, we'll see if we can get him a custom-made helmet. All this tells me is that AB is taking a break from training camp, and he's going to be there for week 1. Like, we talking about a football helmet, and I get it. He's been wearing this since childhood and all of that. I don't know of any player that's been wearing the same helmet since Pee Wee football, the fact that your head gets 2 times bigger by the time you get to the NFL. So that didn't make sense to me. But with that being said, man, Antonio Brown is taking time off from training camp. Obviously, he had to deal with the frostbite on his foot. He wants to be there for week 1, and he ain't leaving $30 million on the table. Every conversation we've seen AB talk, he's talked about how much money he has. He don't need the NFL, but $30 million will remain $30 million. And when AB returns for week 1 of the NFL season, the helmet won't be an issue, and he'll be one of the best wide receivers on the field. But, I listened to that, and I'm like, look, man, just say AB don't want to be at camp right now, and he'll be there for week 1.
But that's not okay, right, Marcus? Because this is his first year in a new offense with new coaches and a new quarterback who needs him desperately. Like, if that really is what's going on here, that's not okay, right?
No, G, it's not okay. Look, here's the deal. AB gets a pass because of how successful he's been at the position. If this was any other player, he'll be on the trading block right now. If this was any other player in the NFL minus about 4 or 5 guys, they'll be on the trading block. And as a teammate, and look, you know how I am so opposed to players speaking out on what other players are doing. In this situation, it has to be frustrating to a lot of guys there, especially Derek Carr, who is not in a situation as a quarterback that's sure to be the guy down the road. If you're going to make a play at that, you need Antonio Brown at camp. But everybody's going to talk about how much they love AB and how much they can't wait till he's back and they want this situation to get figured out from a football standpoint, man. And you and I, in our personal conversations, G, I tell you that this is guys' livelihood. Antonio Brown does a lot for a lot of guys' livelihood when he's on the football field. And at some point, that is going to come in your thought process about if he's here, I'm a better player. So, hell yeah, it's frustrating to all of the players there. But I don't recommend they speak out publicly on it.
The GM already did it for him. Swagoo, always a pleasure. Thank you, my friend. We have more on this as we go. Again, a story that gets more confusing the more you find out about it. Meanwhile, coming up, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and now Jalen Hurts, why the former Bama QB could be the next in a line of Sooner Heisman winner.